Some significant injury news ahead of the college football playoff semifinals. Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman says running back Jeremiah Love will be good to go for the Orange Bowl Thursday against Penn State. Love injured his knee in Notre Dame's win over Georgia in the quarterfinals, carrying the ball just 6 times in that game. He leads the Irish with 1,076 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns this season. And on the Penn State side, defensive end Abdul Carter will be a game-time decision in this matchup. The All-American pass rusher suffered an upper body injury during the Nittany Lions Fiesta Bowl win over Boise State. Head coach James Franklin said he's hopeful Carter will be able to play, but stopped short of guaranteeing it. CBS Sports NFL draft expert Ryan Wilson joins us now as some of the 2025 draft prospects prepare to take center stage in the college football playoffs this week. Now, Ryan, semifinals on deck this week. Let's start with Penn State, who can do the most for their draft stock with a good performance in the Orange Bowl.
Hey, Maddie, good to see you. I haven't talked to you, I don't think, since your Arizona State Wildcats play. I just want to say congratulations to your guys.
Sun Devils.
It was a lot of fun, that game.
Sun Devils.
Down 16, and they made it very interesting. Unfortunately, they're not playing tomorrow and Friday, but that's okay. We have football to talk about, so we'll talk about that. You mentioned Abdul Carter. We'll see what happens with him with that upper body injury. Missed the second half of last week's game against Boise State. So I'm going to focus on tight end Tyler Warren, who came into the season honestly is probably a late day 2, maybe a day 3 pick at tight end, and all he did was take over Penn State's offense. Drew Aller is clearly the quarterback, but no one got targeted more often and did more damage than Tyler Warren. And these plays here, like the one against USC, were routine by the time the season was over. He was instrumental in their success in terms of moving the ball down the field. He was throwing passes. He was blocking. He was snapping the ball. He did literally everything for this offense in Drew Aller. I talked to his high school basketball coach a few weeks ago, and Tyler's 6'6" all day long, and he played center in high school, and he was absolutely dominant. That type of athleticism we've seen on the football field. I think he's going to be a first-round pick, Madeline, by the time we get to April, and he's going to be instrumental to any success that the Nittany Lions are going to have against Notre Dame on Thursday night.
It'll be a fun one, but he'll have his work cut out for him against that defense, as you mentioned. Penn State taking on Notre Dame, and the Irish coming off a dominant win over number 2 Georgia. Which Notre Dame player, though, Ryan, can help their draft stock the most on Thursday night?
You're right, Maddie. There are a ton of guys on defense that I am interested in, but I'm going to talk about quarterback Riley Leonard, who transferred from Duke. And when he played at Duke, I saw some glimpses of him having a chance to be a really good NFL quarterback. It hasn't quite clicked. The arm strength is a concern for me. The accuracy and the consistency are a concern for me. Fantastic athlete. We talk a lot about Jalen Milroe at Alabama being a fantastic athlete who's learning to be a passer. The same could be said for Riley Leonard, who's played a little bit more football. And I've actually wondered this out loud, and we'll find out as we get through the draft process if Riley Leonard doesn't catch fire these next few games, the last ones of his college career. Is Taysom Hill, is that sort of his prototype, his future in the NFL as a jack-of-all-trades who leans on his athleticism and does a little bit of everything? Or can he transform himself into an NFL quarterback at some point? He will be at the Senior Bowl in a few weeks, so we'll get eyes on him there. But I want to see him come out slinging it and doing it consistently and proving to folks that he can play quarterback from play in, play out, series in, series out in the next few weeks, and, of course, at the next level.
All right, let's look at the Cotton Bowl now, turning our attention there. Texas taking on Ohio State. Longhorns coming off a thrilling double overtime win over my Arizona State Sun Devils. I'm still a little heartbroken over that one, but you know what? You got to move on. Texas is taking the stage. Who's your player to watch of the Longhorns?
Quinn Ewers would be the obvious choice. He might come back to school for a year, what feels like 9 or 10. He's the Stetson Bennett of the modern-day Texas football program. I'm going to go with his left tackle, Kelvin Banks Jr., who was a lot of fun to watch over the summer in preparation for the 2024 season, and he proved himself to be worthy of being the first offensive tackle off the board based on how he played in 2024. They've gone up against some of the best competition in college football, and every week he has shown up, and he's going to be a guy that's going to get drafted pretty high, top 5 it feels like, depending on how the quarterbacks go and where Travis Hunter ends up going. And in my latest mock draft, Madeline, that came out on Monday on CBSSports.com, I had Calvin Banks Jr. going 4th to producer Matt's New England Patriots, because if there's anything the Patriots need besides a new head coach right now, it is a left tackle to protect Drake May, and I think Kelvin Banks checks that box, and I expect him to play at a high level this weekend because he plays at a high level every weekend, and his NFL future is going to be a bright one.
Hey, consistency is key, especially when you've got a matchup with the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are coming off a dominant win over top-ranked Oregon. Now the Buckeyes turn their attention to Texas. So who's your Ohio State player to watch in the Cotton Bowl?
Madeline, I have a list of what could be 30 names by the time it's all said and done, mostly of Ohio State and Texas players. That's how deep this Ohio State team is, and thank goodness they're playing well now, because Ryan Day had been under fire for much of the season after some of those demoralizing losses. They look to be the best team in college football right now. But I'm going to go with Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver, who is in a long list of wide receivers coming out of Ohio State who have been absolutely dominant. Most recently, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Even Jameson Williams had to transfer to Alabama because he couldn't get playing time at Ohio State. Emeka Egbuka is a little different. He isn't quite as juiced up as a Marvin Harrison Jr. size-wise, or a Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson in terms of getting in and out of his routes, but he is a precise route runner. He's a lot faster than you think. He runs incredibly hard, and this style of play reminds me a lot of Golden Tate and even a little bit of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if those type of players get you going, Emeka Egbuka is the player for you. I think he has, you just saw the graphic there, I think he has a great chance of being a first-round pick. Tedero McMillan and Luther Burden are always the favorites 1 and 2, but I think number 3, the wide receiver 3 race is wide open, and the way Egbuka has played this season has been eye-opening and a lot of fun. Solid receiver, you can put him in day one. A team like the Steelers would love to have Emeka Egbuka opposite someone like George Pickens. We're able to get his hands on him once the draft rolls around.
I mean, hey, if you're making a Golden Tate and Amon-Ra St. Brown comparison, I think a lot of people would love to get their hands on a receiver like that. Ryan Wilson, thanks so much, as always. For more draft content, make sure to check out With the First Pick. Ryan and longtime NFL GM Rick Spielman dive deep into mock drafts, prospect rankings, stock watch, and more. Download and subscribe With the First Pick wherever you get your podcasts.